Threads are exploding with all the memes and everything. And Dan, you've started following me on Threads, and can I just say, because I'm in England officially, I was able to register, but Europe is still pretty much declined to use it, and my partner is very bitter about the fact he cannot join Threads. But yeah, Threads is awesome. And yeah, why do you think Threads is winning the race?
Look, after taking a ton of L's on the metaverse, somehow I think they got their business sense together over at Meta, and Mark Zuckerberg. Well, it sort of was a home run that was waiting to be hit, because Elon Musk basically pitched them the ball underhanded and was like, yeah, take a swing, please. And all Mark Zuckerberg or anybody in his position would have to do is have just the smallest sense of business logic to do what they did, which is take a lot of the employees that Elon Musk just, fired summarily. Just, we don't need you guys. We can do this. And now all of a sudden Twitter's a total mess. Like every day you find out like what's the latest scandal over at Twitter, or what did Elon Musk do?
Genuinely.
Even from the smallest issues, like I think they made like bookmarks public, so people are all of a sudden like, what? Like I'm supposed to be bookmarking stuff, and now everybody can see my bookmarks out of nowhere, or like.
Ever since Elon took the Twitter over, there's been a drama after drama. Every single day there was like a new bin on fire kind of happening there. But funnily enough, like I'm just amazed how Mark Zuckerberg kept it really cool. So I watched the interview with him with Lex Friedman like 3 weeks ago, and I'm not sure whether Lex was actually taping it 3 weeks ago. But Lex obviously asked him about it, and he was like, yeah, there is some project happening, and it's going well. Like he was very quiet about it and very, very secretive about it. And then 2 weeks later, he released it, and I thought, this is brilliant. Like the marketing strategy that they decided to, they were waiting, because they probably had it ready for a while, but they were waiting for the biggest kind of controversy to happen around Twitter. And what was the most recent one? What happened?
So there've been a lot of news stories in recent weeks where, and I don't know if this is the specific controversy you're referring to, but Elon Musk has been in the news about this, talking about like basically like they're not been paid. Twitter hasn't been paying their bills with Google Cloud and the Amazon Web Services. So like there have been issues with those companies are starting to like be like, hey, we're gonna stop letting you use our cloud service.
That's it. Cloud service.
And if you don't pay up, because these are contracts, you agreed to do this like as a company, what the heck? And even with the new CEO coming in, she I think has managed to smooth over some of those pay disputes, which I'm like, if you sign the contract, the deal is there. You can't just like what who are you, Donald Trump? I'm like, pay the bill, like pay your bill. Don't make a fuss about it. Like this is like, why are we like getting to see Twitter's dirty laundry being hashed out on Twitter?
On Twitter, out of all places.
But that's very meta. Like that's very meta, and I don't want that kind of meta on my social media app. Like I don't care. This is why this is a story. And even like the things like, for example, this is something that I bet like a lot of people don't even notice, because a lot of people don't have this turned on. I had 2-factor authentication turned on my account, and the other day I went in to log into Twitter. It had logged me out, and it was like log back in, and it was like I stuck on a screen. I'm like, okay, trying to click through. You know how you sometimes go on a screen, you're like, okay, continue.
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to do this.
No one reads terms and conditions.
And so like then I'm like, wait, what is it asking me? It's like, oh, you're not subscribed to a Twitter on this certain paid level, so that you cannot have 2-factor authentication access. You need to either turn it off.
No,
or
that was it. The limit of the feed that was
the
kind of
number of
tweets
and impressions. I'm
that
like,
was it.
You know what that is? That's directly because they don't want to pay for their cloud bill. So they're like, you guys need to now be like limited to how you use the platform, or you need to pay up. I'm like, what does Netflix tell you? Oh, pay us an extra $5 to watch another 30 movies this month. Otherwise, you're limited to watching 10 things. Like that's what kind of business model is that? Like, and then even the 2-factor authentication, I'm like, security. Like on one end, you have companies like Apple saying, we will give you the top of the line security and everything. Default, no compromises whatsoever. On the other hand, here's Elon Musk saying, oh, two-factor authentication, please pay us for the privilege to use two-factor authentication in 2023. I'm like, what the heck is wrong with you? Like,
Yeah,
I get the whole
it's
blue check thing.
insane.
Fine, monetize that shit. But like, you do not monetize two-factor authentication. Why?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any
But
sense. I'm like,
going back,
like, I'm sorry. Like, sorry. Okay.
rant of Twitter. Check. We haven't had it this year yet, so this was golden. But Threads, going back to Threads, what makes it special, in my opinion, is that there's a different crowd, completely different crowd. It's actually an Instagram crowd, but with texting essentially. And what really stands out to me that how Mark Zuckerberg is present. He's present in every single conversation, every single mention. He reacts to everything. And he's openly talking about it, how he's working hard on keeping it sane and safe for everyone. Because I bet they're being bombarded with so much, probably bots and fake accounts and things like that. And they really are nailing it. Like, there was this great meme where it kind of showed that next year, probably Mark Zuckerberg's going to take over SpaceX and stuff. And then 2025, he's going to change the name to Elon Musk. Because why wouldn't he? He probably will do a better job than Elon Musk does. Like, to add on to your rant, Elon probably should have stayed with Tesla and the SpaceX, not try to do socials, not try to do something that there is, just hundreds of people better at it. Like, ego did hit him slightly too hard, and it's very open, it's very safe. The threads, very safe, very charismatic, very creative as well. And someone said this brilliant thing about how you can actually produce without knowing how to have an A-star in photography or whatever. Like, you don't need to constantly produce. You just like dump your creative thoughts on there, and it works. Like, I've joined so many interesting conversations, and it's very positively growing. We'll see how long it's going to stay for like that, but for now it works. But yeah, what about you, Dan? Why do you like Threads? Because I saw you posting here and there. We're on Threads. Also, Curious on Threads. But yeah, like, what do you think?
I think Threads, in a lot of ways, is the anti-Twitter in the sense that, while they both are text-based social media platforms where you just kind of write up a few things and you post them, the clean interface. Look, there's a lot of things that like I would expect to be there that are not there in terms of feature sets. But a lot of those are smaller details, and I feel like those are things that they will add on over time. The fact that they've already had, like, I saw like over 90 million signups, I'm like, okay, clearly like they have the reach here, the user reach, which is because they're a legit competitor. I'm like, what? I don't like, and Twitter just embarrassing itself trying to like send out a cease and desist, not cease and desist, but saying, oh, you are copying our business model with our former employees.
Yeah, they're suing.
I'm like, what? Did you have non-compete agreements in their like contracts when you fired them or some shit? I don't know, whatever.
Exactly.
But, like, as far as Threads goes, it's just, I love the clean interface. I love the fact that it feels like much more of a no frills sort of a social media. Like Twitter, like, okay, let me give you a comparison, right? Like, if you are in the US especially, you'll get this. You go to a bodega in New York City, right? You go to a bodega, you go to and you just don't go in, just stand outside and look at the storefront. And
bodega is like, a storefront. It's a shop.
It's like a grocery store sort of a thing, but it's not like a Walmart or a Tesco. It's like a smaller like neighborhood mom and pop shop.
Yeah.
So you go there, you stand outside, you're like, okay, they have this really busy sign where they've got like 5 different fonts, 3 different colors, and then the windows are almost completely covered up with 5 different signs, like advertising any number of different products. You can barely see inside. You go inside, it's sort of dark, dimly lit, and then you're walking around, there's like, it's always packed. They've got a deli in one corner, they've got the counter, you can play the lottery, you can get your bread, you can get your chips and potatoes, whatever.
Yeah.
It's everything. But the point is busy. There's a lot going on. And that's what Twitter feels like. It's like it's designed. And even like a lot of the other social media platforms, even like if you go in parts of you go on your YouTube homepage, it's filled up with like stuff to kind of basically suck you in for as long as it possibly can. And whereas Threads, now granted, there's still the infinite scroll. You can keep doing that. But by comparison, it looks like it's one of those things where you go to this, luxury car dealership, and it's glass all around. All you see are the cars in the showroom.
Yeah.
You see a few people walking around, like, and it's a clean presentation. You got a couple of colors. You got one font, nice symbol. Like it
And
feels
I'm
like a
using it in a
luxury
dark mode.
experience.
I'm using it in a dark mode
Me
as well,
too.
and I
It
strongly
looks so
recommend
good.
it.
Yeah.
It's like driving Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
It's very clean.
I love the fact that it's an easy to use platform. It doesn't feel like and on the business side of it. Okay, this is where I think they've been particularly clever. Not only because they went and hired a lot of people that Elon Musk let go at Twitter, but what they've done here is they've also sort of like legally protected themselves, because they've sort of not said like, oh, this is a new social media app that's completely bespoke and separate from everything else that we're doing. No,
And it is. It is different because it has different crowd. It has different minds there. Like,
but
because it's more Instagram
side,
crowd than the Twitter
exactly.
crowd.
That's the clever part of it. And then I think a lot of people don't realize the truly clever part of this. The fact is, they're saying this is an Instagram app. You can link up and basically...
You're out of Zoom. Out of focus, I mean.
Oh.
Still out of focus. Okay, now go on.
So basically, the best part about this, the really clever business aspect of this is they have tied it into Instagram in such an an interconnected way.
Yeah, it's
you can share your profile tags across both, so that you're like, oh, I'm on Threads. Oh, click through, or like the other way around. I actually copied it. Like, it allowed me to import all of my Instagram account information over, which made setup and sign up incredibly easy and simple.
I was there in 3 seconds.
Yeah,
the setup was incredible.
Incredibly easy.
I didn't think of it. I didn't have to think of about username. That's the only thing though. If I change the username on Threads, it does change automatically on Instagram. And I really like about it. I really like it.
Because can you imagine, like, all the people, like, for our Also Curious socials, we have like 3 different versions of the tag for different platforms. And I'm like, it's hard to get it to be the same unless you would like have an incredibly unique name, or you're willing to pay to buy the exact version, because somebody else might have signed up for it with that particular version in the past. The other thing about how cleverly they've set this up, they've protected themselves from any kind of lawsuits from Twitter, because they have set this up as like, it's an Instagram app. It's if you open the app, it's got the Instagram like colors and everything, the branding. It almost feels like Instagram A. Like if you were doing file naming conventions, exactly. It's not like, it's not like its own separate thing that is like entirely trying to rip off the Twitter model. They've really done a good job. Like the legal team at Meta must have like thought, okay, we got it, because Elon Musk is the kind of person who will come after you if he finds the opening. Because and in fairness, like, why shouldn't he? Like, he's a businessman, he knows what he's doing, whatever. And so good on him. But they've protected themselves from any kind of legal trouble while creating a great experience. And it seems like the employees who went over from Twitter, they've taken a lot of the lessons learned from Twitter, all the reasons why people that don't like Twitter, or the things they don't like about Twitter, before it was made worse, in the last couple of years' time. And they've implemented those changes and upgrades. And I think a lot of it is just do less instead of doing more.
Do something for the community.
On the platform. Yeah.
Like, do something for people rather than trying to control and automate and really block everything that actually makes sense, and really silence people. Like, people are not really afraid of like expressing themselves. And guess what? Everyone's sane. I haven't had, so I left Twitter 5 years ago, but I haven't had to block anyone so far. I'm there 3-4 times a day, and so far it's good vibes only. And I really hope they will keep it on. And my one criticism is, I actually posted the thread about it because I would love to hear the opinions about it, but I think it has too many memes at this stage. I think it becomes like a dumpster meme platform, which, first few days it's great, especially when you have like Zuckerberg versus Elon, like in an actual cage and things like that. Like, again, comedy and sense of humor is all subjective, but it's funny. It's the way of expressing themselves, but it's the thoughts or like the stories and people sharing that's always very interesting and very creative, and you really feel connected. Like one of my favorite YouTube, content creators, he actually liked my post and stuff, and it really felt amazing to be finally able to connect with the people that in the past you were almost like too afraid to write, because Twitter has become such a toxic place. So yeah, it's a really good change of pace of how social media is. And I don't know if you've seen it, like I'm sure you'd appreciate it. Have you seen Mark Zuckerberg wearing the Thanos glove with
I
the...
have not.
It's a brilliant
WhatsApp, Facebook, Thread, Instagram.
And the Thread was the main one.
Threads? Oh, Threads is the main one. Okay, yeah.
It's brilliant. I'm gonna send it to you, but yeah, we can also
like
include
Facebook
it.
Messenger. He's got like the whole By the way, I think part of the reason why there's probably a lot of memes, and I saw that because here's the thing, a lot of brands and companies and organizations are jumping on, and I'm seeing a lot of that stuff now.
Right.
And there's even like some, pardon the pun, meta commentary about how people are just saying, oh, do I have a Threads social strategy yet? No. And then there's some meme about it. Like, so there's a lot of like people, because this is something new. They haven't quite figured it out yet.
And that's what I've noticed. Everyone's trying to figure it out, how to do it, what to be, what to do. And it varies. It really varies what people like. And maybe the meme is the way forward, but it's becoming too memey for me. But that's, again, my personal subjective opinion.
I love memes.
I mean, I love memes too, but
as long as they're clever.
As long as they're clever, exactly.
Well, anyway. Also, to kind of like my last thought on this would be that I think over time, I just hope that this doesn't become another echo chamber of negativity that you see a lot of on Twitter.
Yeah.
And maybe that won't happen here, because I hope, and I really do hope, that they keep a lot of the content moderation at a high level.
Well,
because ultimately, like Twitter was already like pretty bad on the bad side of the spectrum, but then after they basically fired the entire content moderation team, it's been a total like shit show.
Yeah.
So I really hope that Threads kind of maintains that integrity. Because, like you said, people are there and they want positivity. They want to have a positive experience on the internet.
Yeah.
They just don't want to spread like all like hate. Feeds, and like you don't want to like have negativity, because people start to spiral, and that has a real effect on people's mental health. So
just to add on to that I think Mark Zuckerberg actually went through a lot of lawsuits, and he was in front of the government. State
Congress. He was
that's it.
In the EU and then US Congress. Like he's had to sit through a lot of hearings. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think when you start a new social platform, you do kind of learn on your mistakes. And I don't know, maybe I'm naive, but I really like to think that they are looking after the people in this one more than they were in the past in Facebook, when the Facebook started to also be like a dumpster fire. I keep using this word today, dumpster fire. I don't know, it sits well with me. Like a dumpster.
I was like trying to think of the dumpster fire earlier, but I was trying to describe Twitter.
Yeah, I just keep using it today. Like a dumpster fire of like just misinformation and negativity and stuff. And I mean, there was like some conversation that Mark Zuckerberg joined in, and he said like hasn't slept for days because he's working hard to keep the moderation there. So I can imagine they being bombarded by those things. But I think, now also with the AI, they did probably implemented a very fair and good moderating system. And I don't think Mark Zuckerberg's going to start firing people anytime soon for
I mean, I also reasons. Look, a lot of what has happened at Twitter over the past year is very extreme, especially at a social media company where everything you do is high profile and in the spotlight. And look, I will give Mark Zuckerberg and his entire team and business team and everybody who's involved with Threads and Meta their props for getting this right. I look, again, Amen. It's not perfect. This isn't something that is going to last forever. Things can go bad and go terribly wrong tomorrow. It's a good start. Give him props. I'm not saying all of a sudden Mark Zuckerberg is some sort of angel like that came out of heaven and said, I'll fix social media for you. Neither do I think he's become any less socially awkward as a person, but I will give them credit for getting something right here.
I will actually back him up, because I don't know whether he has a brilliant PR or he's been through, I don't know, the fatherhood, but the more interviews you listen to the more interviews you listen to with him, the more you start to understand why he's the way he is, but also the way he's performing, in podcasts or whatever
really
he
bad
has.
advice from
No. He's actually better. He's actually more human. And, I'm marrying the software person as well. So I do understand how socially awkward they can get. But he's getting a really good prep. And recently he's been very human. So I don't know. He has a daughter now. So maybe he becomes a softie.
Hey, look, fatherhood does change a person,
It does.
I can imagine. I mean, people do forget, like in defense of Mark Zuckerberg, that and others like him, that a lot of these CEOs, like in Silicon Valley, who kind of started these companies out of nowhere, and they all of a sudden became billion-dollar companies.
Yeah.
Like Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook. They weren't really people who went to business school and said, we're going to start a business and make a shit ton of money.
No.
They were like software, so personality wise, they're not necessarily like used to public speaking, and all of a sudden they're the face of something that big. And now I'm not saying that happened overnight. It's been years, and you could definitely say, okay, well, how has he not figured it out yet? But then again,
with Snapchat, WhatsApp, Instagram, now, Facebook, and now Threads, you do kind of know how it works, how social media works. Fuck. Sorry, God, you invented social media. So it's like...
I mean, it makes me appreciate somebody like Steve Jobs even more. But he the modern day version of social media that people think of, like Facebook specifically.
That's him. Right.
Yeah. But that makes me appreciate Steve Jobs, like, as a person even more, because like he was this natural, like, salesperson, marketer,
entrepreneur.
Somebody who had this outward going personality, who didn't only think really well and had a mind for the business and the creative side of how all of the Apple works, and had this visionary ideas, but he was also somebody who could really hold the room. And to have that intersection of personality combined with the business acumen and the visionary leadership, it's rare. Like, you don't get that rare. Even Tim Cook, I don't think is really that, like, has that charisma.
Yeah.
And you can tell Mark Zuckerberg has had to kind of work on it. Or even Elon Musk has to work on it. He's so awkward.
If you dive into his biography, his father and then the stepdaughter, like, it's a whole bunch of, and he's such a strange person. If you listen to Elon Musk, like, really listen to him, not pre-recorded content, but like podcasts or interviews with him, he's a very particular person, let's just say. So I've seen his SpaceX presentations, and you can tell most of them are unscripted, or they probably even give up giving him a script. They're just giving them bullet points, and he has these pauses, and then he kind of like he struggles with a few things. He stops, and he's special.
Stops and goes. So like, and that's fine. I mean, look, it's you notice it more because we are so used to seeing a lot of these people get so much training that they sound like these perfect, like, robotic, like, okay, and then but nowadays people want something that I almost appreciate that sometimes, because I'm like, that's the real you.
That's the real you.
That sounds like somebody who I can talk to out on the street and have a real conversation with, rather than somebody who's reading out this extremely rehearsed routine. So I do appreciate that. And look, ultimately, going back to Threads, I really hope that it can stand out amongst the crowd, because there's so many social media platforms out there. It has the platform in terms of having the backing of a company that's got the resources to make this work. I just hope that they don't turn it from that luxury car dealership sort of an user experience to going to a bodega, and all of a sudden it's overcrowded. There's way too much going on. There's a controversy every day. Content moderation is not very good. Like, I hope they can keep it a premium experience and really do everything they possibly can to differentiate it from Twitter, because we've all seen stuff like Mastodon come and go. It just didn't get the traction that you needed to kind of have the staying power that 90 million signups in 4 days can give you.
It was a genius marketing move built onto existing audience. That's essentially what you do. That's your email, not email marketing.
They're so clever. From the sign up process, they kind of were like, oh, you know how easy Apple makes it for you to set up every new Apple device, because you sign into your Apple ID and everything sort of just makes sense.
I mean, there is also something to learn from this. You know how also, I mean, the whole, when you compared it to Apple, the Steve Jobs and stuff, but that's also true in relation to metaverse building the Oculus. Like, stay away from it, focus on the social media, let the, you know, the tech giants kind of handle it. And that's why we, you know, going back to the whole Apple Vision Pro discussion. So you have that. There's something to like a lesson of a lifetime, I think, for everyone, for all those tech giants and billionaires like Amazon, you know, the Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk's and stuff. Like, just do what you're good at. And I don't know, become philanthropist. If you don't know what to do with your time, you know, there's so much stuff you could do. But don't try to like do things that you're not really good at. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, ultimately, I just didn't think of all the things, all these big announcement events and everything that was going to come out, like the latest, like Apple Vision Pro or the new iPhone or what, you know, the new Android version coming out. Or I did not think that the best executed tech like innovation of the year up till this point would be something that Meta does called Threads.
Right.
I'm like, okay. You know, that goes to show you, like, you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, well, I'm sure we're going to come back and talk about this further in the future, whether it's for the better, best, or for the worst, depending on how things go for Threads. I am enjoying the platform. The only thing I wish that we get that we don't have so far is that they give you a desktop interface, which I'm sure is like more of a business functionality that they'll like, you know, for organizations and corporations or media companies would want to be able to use with like a Hootsuite or something like that. That's going to come. But right now, I think just as where they've started, love the platform. And I'm sure we will have, you know, lots of things to say about it in the future as well.